Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya Arunachala Dakshinamurti Shiva. Om Namo Bhagavati Amalagamal Arunachala Minakshi Shakti. Om Namaskaram, dear sisters and brothers. My name is Maheshwar, and my last name, which denotes who is my father, my spiritual father, is Ramana Satguru. I here want to declare how Ramana of the holy mountain of Arunachala, also known as the Maharishi, Ramana Maharshi or Ramana Maharshi, appeared in my life unexpectedly in 3 different countries. So I'll start by first saying that I entered the glorious path of Sanatana Dharma, the ancient wisdom, spiritual wisdom of India of thousands of years ago, what people call Hinduism, but Hinduism is a foreign word, so I use the authentic, natural, native word, which is Sanatana Dharma, which means the eternal way, the eternal wisdom, the eternal religion, if you want, the eternal path towards our real true self, towards supreme and eternal happiness and peace. Sanatana Dharma. In 1975, I entered officially in Sanatana Dharma, and with a guru from Bengal, India, who had at that moment his main ashram in New York, and I started in his path in 1975 in Puerto Rico, the island of Puerto Rico, which is part of the far west of India. People say, well, the west of India is Bengal, is Mumbai, Maharashtra. Yes, that's the western part of India, but the far west of India is in the Atlantic Ocean and Caribbean Sea, before the continents of America, because Christopher Columbus thought he had arrived to India. So that's why these islands are called the West Indies, which means India of the West, the far west. So there I entered the glorious Sanatana Dharma with this guru, which had in his center in Puerto Rico. And then I went to his ashram. I moved to New York and was within his ashram, urban ashram, and I would see him almost every day. He was a very, very famous guru at the time, spiritual teacher. And I was living there, totally happy, totally at ease. And all of a sudden, in 1978, unexpectedly, Ramana of Arunachala appeared to me, and it was something so out of this world, transcendental, because I felt embraced by his spirit, because his body is in the tomb in India since before I was born, his body, but his presence, which is not the body, the spirit, his real self, appeared to me, embraced me, and I entered a state of sublime happiness, ecstasy, and peace and joy out of this world. Why do I say out of this world? Because what I felt was so intense that it's not anything you feel in the human level. It was something out of this world, something divine, non-human. And it was very, very intense. And I had a river of tears just flowing down and down and down. And I was surprised for so long that I was just crying and crying. But I was crying because my spirit, my soul, was full of gratitude of that blessing I had. It was something out of this world, like I said, totally sublime and transcendental, divine. And I was in that state for a while, for pretty much a while. Then after a while, I started normalizing, returning back to this world, and I gave him my thanks for that blessing. And I just continued my path because I was with the Guru. So I just gave him my thanks, very heartfelt thanks, and kept my path, kept going on my path. I never had read anything about Ramana Maharshi. I didn't know anything about him. So that's what makes it more strange that he appeared in my life. And I wasn't looking for a guru. I was happy with my guru. So I continued my spiritual path, and then I returned back to Puerto Rico. And in February of 1982, this is December 2021, so in a couple of months, February 2022, it'll be 40 years, when I went to a bookstore in Puerto Rico, in San Juan, and there were books of India, of different masters, and I picked a book of his because after that experience, I saw in the bookstores in New York City books about him and other famous gurus and spiritual masters and the spiritual traditions of India and other parts of the world, but I never cared to buy a book of him. I found it like it was like something so subtle. So I never bought a book. So, but in February of 1982, I went to this bookstore, and for the first time, I took a book of him in my hands. This one here, an older version, because this is a modern cover, an older version, but this is the book. The Spiritual Teaching of Ramana Maharshi, foreword by the famous Carl Jung. And when I saw his face, his eyes, there he manifested himself for the second time. I felt something inside of me so strong, so beautiful, so uplifting, so out of this world, that I understood at that moment that I was given a message that this would be my new path, my new spiritual teacher or guru from that moment on. So from that moment on, I terminated my 7-year relationship with the embodied guru from Bengali, India, New York, to follow somebody that's not in the body, to follow his path. Because it was so strong a blessing I felt. I was totally sure that that was my new destiny. So then I immediately wrote to his ashram in India, where there's the famous temple where there's the tomb where the physical body is, and I wrote to the person in charge of that ashram in India, Sri Ramanashramam, in the town of Tiruvannamalai, South India, and I told him that I wanted to go there as soon as possible. And I told the person there in the letter of my spiritual path and my background spiritually, and the 2 times that he appeared to me, manifested to me transcendentally, and I received a letter from the ashram, from the head of the ashram, welcomed me to come and stay at the ashram. I wasn't given any limit of time. Now, if you write to the ashram that you want to visit, they give you 3 days visit, maximum 1 week. I was blessed. I wasn't given any limit of time. So I started saving my money during the rest of that year of 82. And in the new year of 1983, I arrived in India. I forgot to mention that I resigned my job, and when I said goodbye to my mother, I gave her a kiss and a hug. I didn't know if that was the last time I would see her, because I just knew that my destiny was to leave, to go to India, to go to the ashram of Ramana, of Arunachala, which is at the feet of the holy mountain, Arunachala. I didn't know if my destiny was to be one day or the rest of my life. So I left. And I arrived, as I said, at the beginning of the new year, 83, at the ashram. And in the first morning that I went to his room, where people have seen many pictures, his room was open 24 hours a day. He didn't have any privacy. And there, the famous couch where he would be lying, sitting during the daytime, besides the time he would go and walk around the mountain, the holy mountain. I just sat there, very close to it, like 8 or 9 feet of distance from his couch, from his sofa, 3 meters for people that know by meters, around 3 meters. And then I closed my eyes after I gave him my salutation spiritually. I closed my eyes to go inwards, and I was again surprised for the 3rd time. He gave me his welcome to the ashram, to India, back home, to the land where I've been born many, many times before. He gave me his welcome, and because I enter a state, a sublime state, again, transcendental state, which is a peace and a joy and a happiness and something that's just out of this world, sublime, non-human. A mystical state is the 3rd time that I have a mystical experience, a communion, because of him. And I was in that mystical state, not for 3 minutes, nor 3 hours, almost 3 days. 3 days. That was incredible. At the end of the 3rd day, I could have taken the bus to go to Chennai, what was called Madras, the big city, and there we'll get on a plane and come back home after those 3 days, because just that was worth going to the other world, to the other side of the world, and investing and spending all the money I saved through a whole year of working. But I didn't feel like coming back. So I stayed there and went through a lot of other beautiful, beautiful things that happened to me in India. I say that there's so many beautiful things that happened to me there when I was there in India, and Tiruvannamalai, the name of the city or the town where the ashram is, the mountain. It was like a fairy tale. so many things that happened to me. There were like magical things that happened to me. So very incredible things, beautiful. The difference between a fairy tale and what happened to me is that they happen for real. In a fairy tale, it's just a tale. No, they happened to me for real. That's something that I'll never forget. So after around 4 months, I felt that my destiny was to come back. To come back. I was living there in the ashram in a room that was facing the hilltop of the mountain, because the ashram is right on the mountain, on the feet of the mountain. I was facing it. It was beautiful, incredible. Like I said, I was very blessed. The Sarvadikari and his son, Sri V. Ganeshan, never put any limit on my stay. I didn't know that was very rare. So I was very fortunate afterwards when I realized that. So, but I came back to Puerto Rico. And throughout the decades, I have organized and directed here in Puerto Rico this spiritual group called Satsang Ramana Maharshi de Puerto Rico. Satsang Ramana Maharshi of Puerto Rico. I have been on radio and TV. I have freely shared with all the sisters and brothers that have come to this satsang. Never charged a cent, never received donation, never asked for donation. It was a totally brotherly offering from my heart to them, to those spiritual seekers. So I wanted to make this video declaring those 3 moments that Ramana of Arunachala appeared in my life in a way that's beyond this world. And I wanted to just share it. A friend of mine told me, if I have a spiritual experience, an intimate mystical experience, I'll never say it to anybody. I'll keep it in me. That's what. So he was surprised that I said I was going to film and declare what happened to me spiritually, mystically, out of this world. He was surprised because for him it was something to keep private. And I said, I cannot conceive leaving sooner or later, leaving this world. And if my body is in the tomb, go to the tomb with these 3 experiences, 3 blessings as a secret. And nobody knows about them. Why not share it with spiritual brothers and sisters? Why not share it? Why keep it secret? You know? So it's like you have a sublime food and you want to keep it for yourself. Why not put it on the table for other people to experience that sublime meal, sublime food, those treasures? So that's the purpose I did it. Because only spiritual people will come to this channel anyway, and only sensible spiritual people will be looking at this film of mine. So if any of them feels touched or enriched by what I have declared here, well, that's beautiful. So maybe it was worth that I didn't keep this secret to the tomb. So, sisters and brothers, if you go to my channel, check where it says About. There I say the purpose of this channel. And then under each video, I also, and also in About, I have my full name, my spiritual name, and my only legal name, and my email. And under each video in the description box, I have several Shastras, holy Shastras, which are holy spiritual scriptures that I recommend if anybody wants to know more about this sublime teacher, Guru, Satguru, which means the true Guru, the sublime Guru, Satguru. I have there some Shastras, the titles of some of these holy scriptures that people can try to get them if they want to learn more. So that's it. That's basically it. This has been a heart offering to any of you that cares about this beautiful, glorious path of Sanatana Dharma of India of thousands of years. So, dear sisters and brothers, many blessings. Om.